So for this video, I am continuing my Ravnica Allegiance draft run. We are currently 4-1 with this Gruul and Simic list that I have drafted. Again, if you go back to the beginning of the series, you can see the draft and my deck building, and then all of the games I'm putting up, win or lose. And we're going to dive into more here, see if we can continue on with our rather successful run, in my opinion. Now, this is a tough decision. Wow. So we're going first, but we only have 2 lands, but we have a card we can play. We have a locket if we get to 3, but we're missing our 3rd color, despite the fact that we have a lot of things we can play if we just find a mountain. So this is not an easy decision in my mind, because we essentially have 2 cards that we can play. Because, like, we'll find a 3rd land. It's just a question of whether or not we'll find a mountain. And if this was a locket that would give us the red, I would be okay with keeping this. But I do not think that we can keep this as is. So we're going to go ahead and mulligan and essentially get the exact same hand, but worse, and that always feels bad. So I guess we're going to keep this now. And alright, feel much better about it just because we have the scry this time. Bit of a bummer. I think that the other hand was better, but we had no guarantee we were getting the red. This time around, at least we know. So we can go ahead and lead off with our Adapt-A-Bear, Build-A-Bear Workshop. Okay, so they've got some gates. That may or may not be good for us. And we're not going to play the Duelist this turn. I'd rather develop the Locket, I think. Just gets us that much closer to adapting him, that much closer to a wrecking beast. And it is a big, giant beast. Whenever I first glance at this, like when it's small, right, before you mouse over this card, it looks like a rooster to me. Like, it just looks like a rooster. It's probably just my head wanting it to be a rooster, but... Alright, so they just come in with 2 damage. They answer back, and then they make a kitty. And they can't give this Death Touch this turn. So we're going to, I think, develop the eyes everywhere here. And then the following turn, we can use this as a combat trick when they inevitably block and try to give it Death Touch. So we're going to go ahead and... we're going to attack first. Even though we know what's going to happen here. And then we'll develop our eyes everywhere. Which, again, great card. Helps us with fixing some things. And if we get to 6, then we can exchange. But with this, it's actually pretty interesting because they can then use this to take cards back. So we'll have to use it on a tempo turn, meaning the turn where we want to do something dramatic will take something. Ouch. Well, that ruins my Fairy Duelist into the Twilight Panther plan now, doesn't it? Rather unkind, sir. I mean, I suppose we're gonna take it. It's kind of one of those like tough scenarios where we don't have anything that really helps us in our hand, but we also want to try to get up to being able to play this at some point. And this doesn't do a whole lot to help us at the moment either. I mean, we're still 2 turns away from being able to play this. So we're going to go ahead and pass the turn. So we can play this as a blocker. But it doesn't kill either one of these unless we also pump it, which is a possibility. So like we could give something -2, -0, and then just use the pump here defensively. Which honestly isn't half bad, if I'm being real here. now the question becomes, which one do I want to get rid of? Because believe it or not, I think getting rid of the Panther is slightly better, but... we're going to go ahead and do this. Going to move to the blockers. Try to block here. See if they have anything. And we're going to go ahead and do this. We're using an awful lot of resources here just to slow them down, but... I need to do something here to stem the bleeding. Alright. So that's, again, very good for my opponent. Not so good for me. I guess we'll take it. Gets us that much closer to our beast. Because the beast will be our potential way to get back in the game. Which is the reason why I was considering getting rid of the Panther. But we're going to say no blocks. Now the only saving grace that we have now as well is that if we trade and take this next turn, then for them to take it back. Oof. Well, no beast now. Yeah, we'll go ahead and take that. That at least gets us a blocker. We're not in a good position here. Not at all. I think this blocking this makes an awful lot of sense. This could block here, but then we just lose it, so I'm only blocking one, and if I'm going to lose it, I'd rather soak 3 damage, I think. I think we are just going to block there for now. Because the ideal scenario is when they go to declare attackers, we want to probably trade this for this. And then try to block their own, even if it does mean giving this up. This Gateway Plaza really puts a thorn in our eyes everywhere. Because it means they do have the option to do it back. As good as that card is, and believe me, it's good, it does not help us right now. Though neither does the land. So unfortunately, all we can do is pass. And that'll be game, okay. I mean, I can do this and maybe find an answer. And I did not. Alright. So I was considering going down to 1 before we activated this. I could have activated this to steal this as a sorcery. But now with the haste, even if I block the most damage, they have more than enough to kill me. So this is just a good example of what the Orzhov decks do, in my opinion. The white-black in particular, and then a lot of times they do exactly this. They splash the red. Very good at just generating good tempo, meaning like they play a threat or two and then they use removal to kind of ride it. It also doesn't help that I did take that mulligan, and we'll jump into another game here. By taking the mulligan, I was a little bit behind. But it was just a really good opener by my opponent. So this is very, very keepable. Even more so on the draw. This is much better than what we just had. So we can immediately go into things like Growth Spiral, which is nice. Into Shaman, potentially. Oh, we're gonna wait to do that. We can do that as an instant at the end of their turn. Or we'll just do it in response to this now. So they get a rhythm, which is very good for them. We have one in our deck, but still a very good development for them. We're going to go ahead and develop an island and opt for Terramander. And I know we have the Spiral here, but the reason I like this card is it's not like required that you do it early. We'll go ahead and do this as well and give it the +1/+1 counter. So like next turn I can just play this naturally and play the Mammoth Spider and kind of go from there. Right, like if I do this later, it's not the end of the world. We've already done the one successfully to kind of ramp up to where we wanted to be. Wow. Alright, so that's likely going to be a big boy 4/4. And I know we said Mammoth Spider was the play, however, I've now changed my mind. You know what? Let's Growth Spiral first. Let's see what we draw. Just put this land into play. Now we're happy to go ahead and do this, but we're going to give this one haste. And everything's going to attack. That means this cannot block. So we can push some damage, and let's go ahead and actually pitch this land and see if we can find something better. Because we're already up to 6, so 6 is a good spot to be in. We want a second green, but outside of that... Alright, that's a great pickup for my opponent. Thankfully... he's got to make a decision on which one he wants to get rid of, because he gave it haste. Because this is activatable now, so... we're going to play our Guild Gate. And we're going to try to make him use this on our guy that's preventing blockers. So we're going to go to the attack stage. And make them make a tough decision. Oh, they're targeting that, huh? Interesting. Well, I will happily activate this then. The Terramander was what I wanted to protect. Because that's what's going to... I mean, sure, doesn't matter, but we'll make it so that one can't block. But that's what's going to allow us to win this race. So we do have to be careful, because essentially every creature they have has haste, right? So as they approach moments where they've got big creatures, we'll have to leave back blockers, and now we'll have to leave back multiple blockers because of the Shaman. So we have to buy ourselves some time. But we can do so with our multiple creatures here as well. Let's go ahead and move to the attack step. See if they want to ping anything with their Clan Crusher. We're just going to let that resolve. We were only going to attack with our 5/5 anyway. Because as of right now, we've got him on a 2-turn clock as long as this survives. Alright. So they bamboozled us. Alright, now that is a problem. So now I cannot block them, and I think we are going to meet our demise. Fair enough. the Gift of Strength turns out was the only card that I was really worried about outside of something that just nukes a flyer in general. But yeah, that was not good for me. So we're going to go ahead and do this. And then do this, see if we can cycle through our deck some. And we can a little bit anyway. That's a really big pickup. So at 7, they can make it so that I can't block 1. So if they top deck a creature with haste, I potentially lose. But if I don't get damage in, then this isn't enough for me to secure a victory myself. This is an interesting dilemma that we are in at the moment. We also have to worry about the fact they have that, so this isn't as good as we would like it to be. We're going to take the risk, I think. This is literally a run-defining moment. Because if they top deck like any creature worthwhile or any removal, then I just outright lose 100%. But I cannot win unless I get some damage on my opponent here. Alright, they got a land. Coming with just this, huh? They're going to leave themselves blockers. We're going to say no blocks. Because again, right now, they don't have any cards in hand. And we're going to go for it. We're going to select both. We're going to put this one on top of the library and that back to their hand. Now, the only option that they would have would be to activate this locket, but they only have 3 green available, so they should not be able to draw cards. And we should be able to swing for 7. That was a big risk I took attacking with that mammoth spider, but I knew that there wasn't likely a chance that I would be able to push for a victory without it. Oh, that's right, the activation. Okay, so interestingly enough, they will still have haste. Oh, I was celebrating too soon. I forgot about the activation. And unfortunately, this means that unless I leave 2 blockers back, and I only have 4 mana, or 3 mana, not the required 4. Ugh. I think I still lose. I can get him to 1. Or I can leave blockers back, but he can make it so that this can't block, and then he swings. And he'll have more than enough because, again, this means that all of his creatures have haste. Yeah, they've signaled good game because they know, and sadly that is, that's the end of that run. I celebrated too soon. I forgot about the activation. We'll give him the old good game as well. And that is it. So that's going to be the end of the run. I'm a little bit disappointed. I thought I was really pulling something out of my hat there, but I forgot about the activation. Alright, let's claim our prize. Let's go open our pack, see if we get something good. At least we'll end on that note. I feel like that run could have went better, but we do get another Rampage of the Clans. Apparently I'm just destined to open a bunch of that card. and a lumbering battlement. So that's it. That's the end of this run. Hopefully you had fun. I enjoyed it. A little bit bummed that that's how it ended, because I thought I was going to lose, and then I thought I was going to win, and then I ended up losing. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you in the next video.